Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hi there, welcome along. Football is back, and so are the football postcasts. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of my Racing Post colleagues Mark Langdon and Joe Champion, plus from Paddy Power, the devilishly handsome Ed Quigley. We're going to go through all the best bets for the new season. We're going to talk through all the markets, focusing on the Premier League, but also further down the pyramid and also right across Europe. We will also look ahead to the opening skirmishes on the first weekend and bring you some first weekend naps. So, loads to get through. First of all, though, lads, Mark and Joe, they've just about got their breath back because the big kick-off, how many pages?
72.
72 pages has just been sent to the printers, and it's been a bit of a slog for the lads. They all work so hard on this. Mark, maybe a silly question, because like I say, you've only just finished filing the last of your 83,000 words. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I have. I always do. I mean, you're full of hope, aren't you, at this stage of the season? It's usually about September when you, when the team that you've lumped on has lost 3 of their first 4 matches, the manager's been sacked, and you realise you got it all wrong. But
Are you confident?
Last
year there were loads of winners, weren't there?
There were, yeah. I mean, I'm more confident lower down. I think there's still a lot of work to be done for so many of the Premier League teams that, bookmakers are guessing, we're all guessing as well at the moment as to how the teams will look come the end of August. But lower down the leagues, yeah, I am actually.
And Joe, you enjoyed the process of it. When did you start work on the big kick-off?
Me personally?
No, everyone. I suppose it starts pretty much the moment the last
I think it's mainly
a
couple of weeks really, because you can't do anything too soon because
too many transfers.
Exactly.
So I mean, I think it was the last. I mean, we last night everybody was there till quite late, making sure it was done.
Good effort. And Ed, have you missed football?
Yeah, I have missed the Grade A football, but it seems like it didn't go away. I mean, you had the Confed Cup, you had the Under-21s, the Under-20s, even the Under-19s, I think, as well.
Were you punting away like mad on all that stuff?
Yeah, I was punting away like mad, and I found other sports to get involved in too, like horse racing and golf as well over the summer. So yeah, it's kept busy.
Good man, excellent. Right, okay, let's get stuck into the Premier League. Obviously, the focal point of all the betting activity this year. And Ed, before the lads and you give us your opinions, what's the latest betting from Paddy Power?
Okay, so Man City are favs as you'd expect. They're 15-8. United are second favourites then at 100-30. Chelsea 7-2. Spurs 9-1. Liverpool and Arsenal both 11s. Everton surprisingly 70s, and it's 250s bar then.
Why surprisingly?
Well, I suppose they opened up 150s, and we all knew they were going to finally lose Lukaku this summer. But I suppose similar to when when Spurs lost Bale, they spent the money before they lost Lukaku, and they've signed really well. In fairness, I think and we've seen them shorten up from 150s into around 70s. I think.
Absolutely. Okay, Mark. Tell us who's going to win the Premier League and why.
Yeah, I've gone for Manchester City, actually. I thought they were a fair enough price. I thought for a lot of last season, they were as good as anything in the league. There were just little things went wrong for them. Obviously Claudio Bravo barely made a save, which doesn't help matters, and that they were missing so many chances. But if you have a look at where they've strengthened in the key fullback areas, Walker and Mendy have come in for over £100 million. Bernardo Silva was one of the best players in the Champions League last season. I thought from Monaco will add even more. Gabriel Jesus is fit. Aguero missed 7 matches last season through suspension rather than injuries because he had a couple of absolutely crazy moments. But if you just put all of that together with a team that already had Sane and Sterling on the wings, De Bruyne and David Silva, Gundogan's back from injury, Yaya Toure and Fernandinho, Company, Stones, Otamendi, and a goalkeeper in Ederson that did well in the Champions League last season for Benfica. I just think that they are really strong this season. And
could 7-4 be too like the wrong price now? Because I think what happens is they make the market, even towards before the last season's ended, and it kind of evolves with each bit of transfer. Whereas if you were starting again from scratch, would you maybe just be a bit short?
I think the particularly say Manchester United are holding up the price of others around them. Ed mentioned that they're second favourites there, so if they're taking out 22% of the book, then I think that does make some of the others there more attractively priced. I just think that City with Guardiola in charge as well. I think he would have learnt from last season. And I just don't really see too many weaknesses. Even defensively, people go on about their defensive record away from home. They only kept one clean sheet fewer than Chelsea, which I don't think too many people realised. And they conceded the fewest shots in the Premier League. It was just that Bravo didn't save any of them.
Okay, we'll get your thoughts on the title rivals. But first, Joe, what's your thoughts on who's going to be champs?
City are the most likely winners, but I'd take them on with Chelsea at almost double the price because they don't really have to improve. They've got a European campaign this year, and that's not going to help them. But they've got the players. They brought some in. They've lost a couple, but I think they've made really astute signings this season. Bakayoko's come in, and Morata should be really good up front. And they will probably lose. That's true as well. He'll do.
Well, I mean, he's another guy to come in and do a job.
I think Mark's mentioned Guardiola will learn from the mistakes of last season. We should remember it's Conte's first season in the league as well. So, he's also evolving as a Premier League manager. He's experienced in Europe as well, so he'll be able to balance things out like that.
Okay, so Mark's going to go for Man City. Joe Champion's going Chelsea. Who are you going for, Ed?
Yeah, I'm going for City, but it is tentatively. I mean, I think it's going to be really competitive this year. Just like Mark said there a second ago, like they're going to be better defensively this year. They've made the signings, and they're even going to be better offensively as well. Like, I mean, as Mark said there a minute ago, like, you have Jesus for a full season, Gundogan's fit as well. So yeah, I'd go for them, but I wouldn't be having a major play. My major plays will be in the lower leagues, I'd say.
Okay, well, we'll come to them. I'm going to throw Tottenham into the ring because I just think that the Wembley factory is overdone. I think that they're a progressive team, not remotely bothered that they haven't really bought anyone. I actually think it might help because I think that the unit will stay together, and I like Tottenham at a bigger price. So we'll go through some of the others then, Mark. Obviously got Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham and possibly Everton. Give us a feel for how it might shape up behind Manchester City. Yeah,
I mean, I think it'll be very close behind City. I think Liverpool could actually be decent improvers. If you go back to last season, it was only really in January when their whole campaign fell apart. They'd only lost a couple of matches up until that point. Mane went away to the Africa Cup of Nations, with a huge blow for them. Coutinho was out injured, and Matip wasn't allowed to play because he turned down the opportunity to play for Cameroon in the AFCON. And it was just that mad month really that meant that Liverpool weren't on the coattails of the leaders. They absolutely battered Tottenham twice. The only team that outplayed Tottenham twice in the season. They only took 4 points off them. They were really good against the other top seven. It was in those lower matches, the easy cheap points where they suffered slightly, but I think with Salah arriving, that'll allow Coutinho to go deeper, more options.
Deeper to Barcelona?
No, I don't see that at all, Bruce.
You don't?
No. I mean, obviously, this could sound ridiculous, but I mean, I believe Klopp when he just says no way is that happening. I mean, you'd be mad to sell him this close to the season starting. I mean,
okay, what happens if isn't what normally happens? The player just says, "Look, sorry, you might not want to sell me, but I don't want to play for you anymore." And when that happens, they go.
No, I don't think. I mean, Suarez stayed an extra season. Modric stayed extra season at Tottenham.
Apart from when they don't.
Yeah, I mean, Sanchez
he's trying to force a move.
No, I think that's the key point. I mean, of the others, just quickly going through them, I do think that the Wembley factor will affect Tottenham. Just in the fact of the West Broms and Bournemouth going to Wembley, I think means that that's not as easy a home game, if you like.
It's like their Wembley, isn't it?
It will be their cup finals. Arsenal, Sanchez's future I think is a huge problem for them. Until that gets resolved, I can't really touch them. United, I do respect them, but I mean, they're pretty short in the market. I mean, they're 7-2 against Liverpool, being sort of sick favourites. They played each other twice in the Premier League last season. Both teams were 6-5 to win their home games. Bookmakers basically thought they were about the same team. So I don't think enough has happened for a wild odds sort of fluctuation there. Chelsea, I just thought they had the rub of it last season. Scored first in 30 matches, and that enabled them to play the way that they did. Hazard misses the start of the season, which could be a little blow for them. And if Morata doesn't fire straight away, then they are in trouble. If you have a look, just remember back to when they were nicking games 1-0 earlier on in the campaign. In 5 of the first 6 of their 1-0 wins, it was Costa that scored the winning goal. Conte will live or die by that decision.
Absolutely. Joe, take us through the rest of them. Where are they going to finish in behind Chelsea?
I said City are probably the likelier winner, so I'll go with them to finish second. I do quite like Liverpool and United as well. United are too short in the outright betting for my money. We see this every year with United. They're up there with the favourites. They sign big, but they never quite get it done. So I certainly wouldn't want to have them at the price. So yeah, Liverpool to complete the top 4 as well. I think they weren't far off last year really, and if they can iron out these poor results against mediocre sides and start playing like they do when they play the top sides, then they should be bang there really. The Wembley factor for Spurs, it's not the pitch that's the problem, but it's a small change to everything. It's going to a different stadium. The players are not really at home there until they've been there for a while. I know they played 3 times in the Champions League and the Europa League game there, but you can't just count on that.
But that's been a factor massive into the price. Ed, what price would Tottenham be if they were still playing at White Hart Lane this season?
Yeah, they'd be a lot shorter. They'd be like probably around 11-2, something like that. I'm guessing. Like
I think it'd be shorter than that.
I don't know though. I mean, but if they were 11-2, then what price would some of the other ones be? They'd have
to come out a little, wouldn't they?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, then Ed, what about you? Where do you stand on this? Can you put in a positive word for United? Because I think Mark and Champ both think that they're very short. I think they're an absolutely phenomenally short price. I mean, you look at what they've done in the 3 seasons since Fergie left. I mean, they're way off the pace, and I don't see the signings as helping. So I don't get that price at all. And as Mark said at the start, it kind of makes the book for the other teams.
Yeah, I guess like United, like it's the Mourinho second season factor there as well. I mean, I think he's always won a title in his second season. Every club he's been at, and there's that, and like I mean. I think their signings have been quite good. I mean, they've obviously brought in Lukaku, Matic today, and then Lindelof as well. Like Lukaku's going to score so many goals, and I suppose the thing about Pogba as well is Pogba can only improve. Like he has to be better than he was last season. I think they'll have more pace in the team, and they needed that. I mean, they drew a lot of games last season, particularly at home. When they really should have won, like I mean, they battered teams, and like
they were a bit unlucky, weren't they? You're right,
I guess. If they clocked like half or 75% of those games and clicked 2 more points, they would. I think they would have gone close enough last season. But obviously that's a big if. But they should improve a lot this season, we reckon.
So who's going to finish in behind City then?
I think it'll be Man City, Chelsea, United, and then I can't split Liverpool and Arsenal, but I think I really fancy Tottenham to finish outside the top 4.
Oh, you do? Blimey, you lot are so down on Tottenham. I don't get it. All right, then we'll see what goes on there. Which signing's going to make? Give us one signing each that you think by the end of the season say, wow, what a fantastic buy that was. Mark Langdon, you go first.
I'll go for Salah. I mean, just forget what happened at Chelsea. That wasn't his fault. He was young. Mourinho didn't trust him, never played him. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne and Lukaku, just two that have sort of fell by the wayside with Mourinho preferring experienced players. He was sensational for Rome in the last couple of years. Easily one of the best players in Italy. I think he'll add a lot to Liverpool.
Okay, Joe?
Bernardo Silva for me, such a good creative player, and I think he'll do great things at City with so many quality players around him as well.
Okay, and what about you, Ed?
Can I go outside the top 4? I'm going to go with Kelechi Iheanacho, who's about to sign for Leicester City. I think for 25 million, it's a bargain. It's an absolute steal, and they've made a fair few good signings this summer, in my opinion. But yeah, I think he's quality.
That's a good chat, and that gives me a chance to give a big up to our new MPG ratings in the Racing Post this season. Minutes per goal. We're giving you, on all the key stats and all the first scorer tables, a minutes per goal career and season figure for each player. And Iheanacho, I believe, Mark's right up there, isn't he? Him and Jesus, isn't it?
Him and Jesus lead the way, in terms of Premier League, in terms of their career stats. In terms of last season's Premier League, Harry Kane was right up there, but Batshuayi was the one rarely trusted by Conte, but when he was used off the bench, he always seemed to pop up with a goal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Okay, those are the thoughts on the outright. We'll look at relegation, sack race, top scorer, etc. in just a mo.
Check out Paddy's new VIPP Club. Get a £10 free bet every week when you place 5 bets of £10 or more. Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shops. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, so we've looked at the teams we expect to thrive in the Premier League in 2017-2018. Let's look at the ones that are going to struggle. There's basically 7 teams at the top that can contest the title. There's 13 teams who will set out knowing that the number one priority is staying up. So quite an open relegation market, I would have thought. Ed, what's the latest?
Yeah, so Huddersfield are 8-13, Burnley 6-5, Brighton 5-4, Watford 13-8, Swansea 9-4, Newcastle 7-2, Palace 9-2, Bournemouth 11-2, West Brom 6-1, Stoke 13-2, West Ham 8-1, Leicester 14-1, and Southampton 22-1.
Okay, they're the 13 teams. Joe Champion, which three are going to go down?
All three of them. Huddersfield, I think, will go down, even though they're probably too short to have a bet on. I think Burnley could be in trouble. They've sold Michael Keane, and especially if Andre Gray potentially could leave as well. And my main bet, if I was going to have one, would be West Brom to go down. I think they've not really brought in any good signings, and a very limited team, really, so they could be in trouble. Okay, that's your three. Mark, who are yours?
Yeah, West Brom seem to be the only Chinese owners not prepared to invest a load of money in the team. I think Huddersfield will go down. Like Joe, I wouldn't really be backing them at the price. I think they have made some interesting signings to at least be competitive. My main bet would be Burnley. I thought they were... got off to a good start, and they had that home form last season, but it's asking a lot to repeat that kind of level of, was it better than Manchester United at Turf Moor? They nicked a lot of games late on. It doesn't take much for those 1-0 wins to become even 0-0s or 1-0 defeats, and Andre Gray hasn't signed a new contract, so there's still a lot of talk he could leave. Keane has left. Small squad, that they won't be taken maybe as lightly as what they were at the start of last season. They were actually dropping quite dangerously towards the relegation zone before they beat Palace, and I definitely fancy them at a price. I think Stoke could be the ones to be in trouble. Not doing much in the transfer market, lost Arnautovic, fans are unhappy with Mark Hughes. They've got an awful start to the season. Most really got some difficult early fixtures. I think they could be one of them where they panic in January and buy their way out of it. But I definitely think in these days of being able to trade bets, I think that they're possibly cashing out later on in the campaign. They're the ones to be on.
Okie doke. And Ed Quigley, who would your three for the trapdoor be?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Mark there on Stoke. I think Stoke are such a back to lay. I could see them shortening up big time, and someone like Huddersfield maybe drifting out a good bit. But look, ultimately, who I think will go down, I think it'll be Huddersfield, Burnley, and I'd give Newcastle a shout as well. The same points on Huddersfield, Burnley as the lads. But I just think Newcastle's a few murmurings going around that Benitez isn't happy with the transfer window they've had this summer, and they weren't they're 7-2 and Brighton are 5-4, and we touched on ratings a minute ago, but ratings last season, Brighton and Newcastle were pretty much equivalent as well. And you're getting far bigger price on Newcastle. So yeah, I tip up Newcastle 7-2 there as well.
Yeah, and I suppose one of the things then, we'll come on to this with the sack race, which will be the next market we look at. I suppose if some of the other teams and some of maybe the bigger teams get off to a bad start, Benitez, not just in Britain but in Europe, Mark, becomes a coveted manager, doesn't he?
He does, and that would be, the only reason I haven't put them in the bottom three is because I think Benitez is good enough to make sure that they don't. But yeah, if he does go, then they are in trouble. I was looking at it though, he went to them in the first place when they were banging trouble. He then stayed when they were in the Championship. He's been pretty loyal to them.
But then maybe now he expects loyalty back. And if he feels they haven't splashed the cash, then...
I was reading a story saying he's one of the highest paid managers in Europe. So, he's got a nice little number there in terms of financially. Yes, he may... want something, more glamorous. But I tend to think he's just putting pressure on Mike Ashley, and this is all part of his game. He did it when he was at Liverpool, didn't he? He was always threatening to quit, and never did.
OK, well, let's get the sack race betting from Paddy Power, and then the chaps can say who they think will be out of a job first.
Okay, so Benitez is favourite. He's 7-2. Slaven Bilic, second favourite, 11-2. Hughesy, 6-1. Pulis, 9-1. Koeman, 11-1. That might surprise people. Wagner, 14-1. Shakespeare, 14-1. Clement, 14-1 as well. And De Boer and etc. are 20s barred in.
OK, I'll go first. Yeah. It just sounded like Shakespeare was quite a big price to me. I think Leicester will be all right this season, but I think he's the one who's possibly got the sort of starts off on the thinnest layer of ice, if you know what I mean. I don't think he'll be given that much leeway. So if you can sack Ranieri, you can sack anyone. So I thought Shakespeare at 14s might be quite interesting. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I definitely think Shakespeare's in the running for that. They've got some hard early games, starting off at Arsenal, and of course, they showed no loyalty to Ranieri. Why would they not? Just keeping on the anti-Stoke theme, I mean, the fans are really unhappy with Hughes, and I don't think it's been picked up nationally, really, just how disgruntled they are. And if you have a look at some of their early fixtures, I mean, I've just got them here. Everton away, Arsenal at home, West Brom away, United at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea home, Southampton, Man City, Bournemouth, and then it gets a bit easier. But they have got most of the big teams early on. They've started terribly in each of the last couple of campaigns. I mean, I don't think the owners can afford to stay loyal to Hughes if they make another bad start. So, I mean, they would be my 2 against the field. I quite like the Koeman shout, though, that Ed was mentioning there as well. Expectations seem rather high at Goodison, and I don't really get it.
Okie doke. Joe, what's your view of the sack race?
Yeah, I'm in the Shakespeare camp. Yeah, they didn't show any loyalty to Ranieri, you're quite right, and no, neither did the players as well. So if it starts to turn south that way, then the players will turn on him. I think, they've brought in a couple of players. Ian Acho was a great signing, but if he doesn't do it, then they could be in a lot of trouble. So
and of course, him coming in, if he does well, he puts a couple of noses out of joint, doesn't he?
And just also the last 2 winners of the sack race, if you like, Advocat and Goidelin, both been sort of short-term appointments at the end of last season, overstayed their welcome and were gone by October.
Yeah, good shout. Okay, so 3 votes for Shakespeare and an extra vote for Sparky Hughes. Ed Quigley, who do you think might be going first?
Well, it was actually me who priced this up yesterday. So in my mind, these prices are perfect. But I can hear the Shakespeare shout there from both of you. But the only thing I'd say there is like Shakespeare presided over a pretty good reign. Like when Ranieri went, they had a really good record. They only lost to all the big guns, I think, in the Premier League thereafter, like the top 7, including Everton. For me, I kept Koeman short. Koeman's obviously been backed heavily financially this summer by the new Iranian owners or whatever. But Everton's opening fixtures are horrendous as well. They've got Stoke at home in the middle of the first day. That's not too bad. But then they've City away, Chelsea away, Tottenham at home, and United away. It's just one of those ones that I think I could envisage short. And could another bookmaker might go up 40s, and then you end up cutting it after those fixtures if they lose them, drastically. So yeah, for me I'd probably go with Sparky as well. But just with the murmurings and Benitez, I have to go favourite on him. And there's been murmurings about Bilic all through last season as well. So that's why I kept him short.
They were pretty loyal, weren't they? They like Golden Sullivan like to tell everybody how loyal they are.
But they are, though, aren't they? They get rid of very few managers, don't they?
They are, yeah. I mean,
Gianfranco Zola might beg to differ. He lasted about 3 days.
I think they do tend. They don't really see the point of wasting money by paying someone's contracts up.
And I think it's pretty very sensible as well. Let's talk of Shakespeare. I wish I'd studied Shakespeare more. I could come up with a clever link, but I can't. So let's look at that.
We've tried enough.
You should have the amount of intros I tried, and then after about an hour, I gave up.
We're not big Shakespeare fans on the desk, are we? We're not very that way inclined.
We need James Milton, don't we?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So let's look at the handicap then. This is obviously where Paddy Power will try and calibrate everyone by giving each team a start of varying degrees of points, and we see what happens at the end of the season. So basically, the key to the handicap is to find a team that will outperform their pre-season racing without necessarily winning anything. Who do you think, Mark, might be the handicap value?
Yeah, well, I was looking at the sort of head of the handicap, because I do think that the top sort of, I'm not even going to include Everton. I think the top 6 definitely have pulled away from the rest, and the gulf between 1st and 8th in the Premier League was way bigger than any of the other major leagues in Europe. So I thought, just continuing on the Liverpool theme, I thought that this may be even the best way to get with Liverpool, because they may not even need to win the title. If they just have a good season, they're being rated sort of 5th, 6th favourites in that market. I think they could go very well, and if they do that, maybe the handicap's the way to approach it rather than the title.
If you're watching this after Philippe Coutinho has been seen doing keepy uppies in Camp Nou, apologies for that.
Well, I mean, if he does go, I mean, you've got 100 million to spend, haven't you? And so you back yourself to be able to get a decent replacement.
Might get Wilf.
Well, I can't see Zaha and Klopp. I don't think he'd like that.
Barcelona should just cut out the middle, man, and go straight to Palace and get Wilf to replace his Neymar. But that's another story. Joe, handicap good thing.
Yeah, exactly the same thoughts as Mark, really. You mentioned the gap between 1st and 8th. It was Chelsea were 47 points clear of 8th place. So Liverpool getting a 9-point start on the handicap seems reasonable enough, I think. So
That'll do for you. And what about you, Ed? Handicap banker.
Yeah, no, I was looking at this last year. It was actually it was Chelsea plus 5 won this last year. Yeah, no, for me, I'm going down the Leicester route again. For the reasons I've mentioned, they've signed Iborra, who Sevilla fans were lamenting that he's lost, and he was a quality signing for 15 million. They got Maguire in as well, who's quality, and Iheanacho's coming. Last season they had 20 points. This season they're getting 28. There's other bookmakers out there with 32. And they've no Champions League either. And to me, Shakespeare United the squad, and hopefully he keeps that up. So yeah, that'd be my one. And Chelsea plus 3 is probably a decent show.
Ed, do you like Leicester top Midlands club at odds against to beat Stoke and West Brom?
I'm all over that. Yeah, I'm just about to mention that as
well.
Sorry. We're actually evens because some of the lads on the team disagree with me. They're very pro West Ham, who I wouldn't be pro at all.
Oh no, I think he's saying top half finish.
Top half finish at evens. But yeah, you can get top Midlands club at evens as well, which is as good as bad.
Okie dokie, let's look down the Championship, League 1, League 2, Scotland, Europe, and so much more in just a mo.
Check out Paddy's new VIPP Club. Get a £10 free bet every week when you place 5 bets of £10 or more. Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shops. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
I'll tell you what, Joe Champion has just pointed out my complete incompetence. I forgot to do the top scorer. So we'll do the Premier League Golden Boot. Give us a smattering of prices, please, Ed.
Okay, so favourite is Harry Kane, 3-1, Lukaku 4-1, Aguero 6-1, Gabriel Jesus 9s, Sanchez and Morata are both 10s. Costa is probably going to leave, but he's there in their 12s. Lacazette's 12s as well. Mane is 20s, Iheanacho 20s, Sturridge 20s, and it's rest of 25s bar.
One of the joys of having football back is hearing Ed Quigley pronounce Aguero. I love the way he does that. Brilliant. Okay, Joe, since you're the one who pointed out my slackness, you lead on. Who's going to win the boot?
Yeah, I think you can probably, if you want to play it safe, you can take one of Kane or Lukaku. They'll probably score heaps of goals this season if they stay fit. But one I like at a bigger price is Mohamed Salah for Liverpool. He's, I think he's 50-1 around that mark. And, he's playing in this Liverpool team that's really creative. They create lots of chances for their strikers. And I think at Roma, he got 15 goals in each of the last 2 seasons around that sort of. So I'd take a chance on him as a nice each way bet.
15 in Italy doesn't equate to enough to win the Golden Boot here, though, does it?
No, but I mean, he was sort of supplying Dzeko. I think when he moves now to Liverpool, he'll be sort of getting nearer to through the middle. I think he won't be playing through the middle, but
Firmino-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll play in Mane's position, and Mane will play on the other wing. But I just think that the way that they play at Roma, at Roma, it was all about just getting the ball to Dzeko, which is what he did brilliantly. I like Gabbiadini in this market. I mean, he scored 6 goals in 4 matches when he first arrived at Southampton, then got injured, and by the time he came back to the club, Southampton had given up and the players were trying to get Puel the sack, and they did it rather well with, I think, 6 of the last 8 matches they failed to score. But Gabbiadini was good enough to get a move to Napoli. He's somebody that's in and around the Italian national team squad at the moment. Southampton last friendly they played St Etienne. I was a bit worried about who would start out, Gabbiadini and Austin. He played both of them, but Austin was playing in the deeper position. Gabbiadini right up front against St Etienne, and he scored the opening goal. Gabbiadini, I think he's a really good striker. He struggled for a position at Napoli, but if Southampton play him down the middle as their main man, I think he could score a lot of goals for a Southampton team that were underachieving on their sort of expected goals rating last season. They created chances, didn't put them away. And Redmond, Tadic, you've got Buffal, Davis, Ward-Prowse, the fullbacks get forward. I think there's a lot of creativity in the Southampton team.
What price is
Gabbiadini's
Gabbiadini, Ed?
40s.
40s. Who's your fancy?
Well, yeah, I do think it'll be between the market principles and Kane and Lukaku for the same reasons Joe said there a second ago. Like, both will start every game. They're the main strikers for their teams. Like there won't be other players taking goals off them. Like, say with Manolo Gabbiadini, like obviously Charlie Austin's probably going to score a fair few if he stays fit, that is. And similar with like Salah, you're going to get goals from like Firmino and Daniel Sturridge and I don't know, a few others as well. Like, so that's kind of why I ducked them. And like Kane was injured for a good chunk of last season. He still hacked racked up with 29 goals. One I would mention at a bigger price, definitely Giroud at 33-1, and definitely if he goes to Everton, like if he stays at Arsenal, I wouldn't back it at all because he won't get the game time. But if he goes to Everton, it's a cracking bet. And Hernandez, I think as well at I would be backing each way at 25s for West Ham because he'll start every game and he should score a good chunk of their goals.
Couple of interesting stats on Kane. 17 of his goals were at White Hart Lane last season. He's never scored a domestic goal in August, so you might get a bigger price on him. Come September time. Seems to be a slow starter, and if you fancy one of the foreign new boys, no foreign player has ever won the top scorer in their first season in English football.
Oh, what a good stat. Excellent. Right, let's look at the Championship then. And it's pretty wide open this year, according to the betting ed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so Middlesbrough and Villa are co-favs at 13-2, Fulham 15-2, Wolves 10s, Sheffield Wednesday 11s, Norwich 12s, Derby 14s, Hull 16s, Sunderland 16s, and Reading 18s and 18s Barling.
Okie doke. Mark, lead on.
Yeah, I like Fulham in this market. Jokanovic, the manager, having a bit of a bust up with the transfer committee. Well, not the best way, to go into the season. But I think he's maybe just trying to cause a little bit of chaos there to get his own way. Re-signing Kearney and Sessegnon, I think, is the best business of the whole. No matter what anybody outside of Wolves do, I suppose would be the only exception. I think getting them two players signed on is absolutely key to them. They were the best team in the second half of the season in the Championship. If they play to that standard, I think they'll win it. There's no Newcastle around this time.
Okie doke. Joe, who do you think will win the Championship?
I like Borough in this. But they weren't great in the Premier League last time. They looked woefully short of goals, and that did for them in the end. But they definitely had a sort of decent core of a side that was able to defend, and they were quite functional in that regard. They've appointed Gary Monk as manager. I think that's a really shrewd appointment as well. And they've signed decent players. They've signed Britta Sombalonga. It's a big gamble because he's had injury problems, but he is a top quality goal scorer in that division if he gets game time. And aside from that, players like Ashley Fletcher, they're good players at that level, and I think they should go really close.
Yeah, I agree with you. I look at the top of the market and Borough and Villa. My initial thought is, well, I'm going to have a very big match bet on Borough because I've got Villa down as they're just a toxic wasteland of a club. Last 2 seasons have been a disaster. All right, John Terry's going in. It might all fall into place, but it's a massive assumption that's going to happen in the market. They're not for me. Who is it for you, Ed, in the Championship?
Yeah, I'd agree entirely there with yourself and Joe. Like, I'm all over Middlesbrough. I think they're unbelievable at 13-2. I actually think they'll hose up myself. And I'd agree with you on Villa too. I don't get their transfer policy. Like, they're signing all these older players, like, who have to play twice a week every week. It's I don't know. I think it's too hard a league for that. But Middlesbrough 13-2. Joe said a second ago, quality manager appointed. I actually think their squad's stronger this season than it was last season. I mean, like, they've kept on to all their defensive players, and they were very good last season defensively. They just couldn't score. And they've brought in Randolph, Sambalonga, Cyrus Christie's quality as well, Johnny Howson, and they've signed a lad as well from Toulouse called Martin Braithwaite, and like he bagged a fair few goals in French League 1 last season. I think he averaged 1 and 2, so he could be brilliant at that level as well. I massive bet here for me. Middlesbrough 13-2. Yeah.
Okay, let's go down into League One, and Ed, this is your moment. Blackburn last year, all that heartache. Now they've spent big. The Venkies are back in fashion. Everyone loves them, and they're massive jollies for this, aren't they?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this moment for a month now. So this is all about Blackburn here. They're 4-1. Wigan are 8. Bradford and Bradford and Pompey are 9s. MK Dons 10s. Charlton 12s. Scunthorpe 14s. But like, I don't need to go on like after Blackburn, really, to be honest. I think Blackburn will absolutely hose up in this league, and I'd encourage everybody to have an each way double with Middlesbrough and Blackburn. Venky's oddly have just started spending money for the first time in their reign, I think, properly anyway, like this season. And it doesn't take a lot to win League One. And like, we are the big boys, I suppose, in League One anyway, like, do you know what I mean? And they've signed like
I listened to him giving it the big, and we're the big boys in League One.
Yeah, like, it feels good, I'll tell you. So like, they've brought in Bradley Dack. He got League One Player of the Year 2 seasons ago. They brought in Peter Whittingham, Richie Smallwood, Dominic Samuel, Ben Gladwin's quality at this level as well. Yeah, like, and they're actually expected to bring in a few more as well, definitely defensively, and a goalkeeper as well after losing Jason Steele. Yeah, like, I'd back them in every single market going, like every positive market going anyway, yeah.
Thank you for that lovely long answer. It enabled me to watch the Goodwood racing, which Big Orange has just got beat. Thanks for that. League One views from you, Mark Langdon.
I think Blackburn will win as well. I think in the last postcast of last season, you asked for a few anti-post ones. I put up Blackburn about double the odds. I mean, it was just ridiculous what price they opened up at. It made no sense whatsoever. And even at the current prices, I don't think it does. I suppose you want to see another forward come in, but I'm pretty sure he will bring one in. But you've still got people like Charlie Mulgrew and people, I don't know what sort of wages he's on in League One. But, I mean, their squad just looks way better than anyone else. I do think that it's very competitive in behind them. MK Dons, there's a lot of teams I quite like, but I don't think any of them will get close to a Blackburn team that only lost 3 of their last 15 games under Mowbray. Anyway, the only reason they went down is because Owen Coyle was manager, and they finished with 51 points, which would normally be enough to stay up. I'm struggling to see a negative. I'm going on Saturday to see the value of the stock when they open up at Southend. So,
oh yeah,
yeah,
that'll be good.
Yeah, if it's one of them ones where if they get turned over 3-0, you have to maybe rethink. But for now, they do look head and shoulders above the rest.
Don't forget, Mark, the first league game last season, Fulham beat Newcastle, and Newcastle did all right in the end.
Yeah, so did Fulham though. But also just on that, I mean, you don't want Mowbray to bring in all these players, start slowly, and then get sacked, and then they bring someone in with a completely different style of play, and all of a sudden Whittingham's no use because they're hoofing up to some 8-foot forward. So I just hope they start well. If they start well, it could be a Sheffield United job.
Isn't it going to be odd, Whittingham not playing for Cardiff? Very odd. Joe, what do you like in League One?
I like Blackburn as well, but I'll give a shout to my boys, MK Dons. I think we signed really well this summer. When Carl Robinson left halfway through last season, Robbie Neilson came in, and he was a stabilising influence. We were low down in the table when Robinson left, and Neilson came in and got us up to sort of mid-table. And we've signed really well. We've got Aaron Tishabola in. He cost a lot of money when Villa bought him. They've loaned us him for the season. We've got other players. Peter Paulitz, highly rated from Aberdeen.
The question is, though, Joe, are you naturally optimistic or
He's
pessimistic?
normally,
I'm very pessimistic.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah.
Oh, right, so that means something. Because I always think taking tips from an actual supporter of a club is laced with danger, because you get these optimistic ones who think they'll win every game, and you get ones who think...
Joe's quite a downbeat.
I'm very surprised by how well we've signed this summer.
Good,
so,
that could be a tip in itself.
Well, they were the subject of a foreign tipping line gamble in the summer as well, which is why they're now into 10-1 from... I think they opened up about 16s, didn't they, Ed?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's look at League Two then. And again, there's a team for money, isn't there? It's in Mansfield, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, Mansfield is shorting up. To be honest, the money's come for all the top. It's come for the top 2 teams here. Luton are 11-2 as well. We've had to hack them because we've racked up such a liability on them. Coventry are 9s. Lincoln are 11-1. Swindon 12s. Notts County 14s. Chesterfield 16s. Exeter are oddly 17s. So are Carlisle and Cambridge. And Colchester, it's 20s bar then.
And what price are you, the Favs?
Oh, sorry, 11-2. Both of them.
11-2 joint. Okay, fine. Mark, you lead on. Who's going to win League Two?
Luton are going to. They're definitely not going to finish outside of the each way places. I hope not anyway, otherwise I'll be skinned. I've been backing them all summer. They opened up about 10-1. It was a ridiculous price. There was just no way they should have been 10s.
What's the clue?
They were the best team not to get promoted last season, and they've strengthened really well. James Collins got 20 goals for a struggling Crawley team last season, play up front with Hilton. They sold McGeehan for around about £1 million, which has enabled them to really strengthen, and he was out injured from January onwards, so he's not even really a miss. They've turned down over £1 million for their right back from Nottingham Forest. That's how confident they are, that they're really going to go well this season. I think McCormack will add bite to the midfield. Shinney is a really good League Two player. He's been playing Championship for a while now. I'm struggling to see how they finish outside the top 3, Bruce.
That could all be absolute mythology to me. They could all be people who don't exist. But when Mark says it like that, he's the man who knows about these leagues. I don't go down that far. It sounded very convincing.
Last season, they had the second best defence in the league, despite not really having a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper was the one that made the Ricks in the playoff semi-final. So he's brought in 3 goalkeepers now. One of them's coming from the Czech top flight, who did really well for Yeovil when they were on the rise. So he's expected to be the number 1. So defensively, they were fine. They've now added a 20-goal striker and some midfielders.
Okay, very convincing case for Luton from Mark Langdon. Joe Champion, what do you think will happen in League Two?
Yeah, I was quite impressed with Lincoln last year, and I think there's claims that they could go back to back. Really, teams have done it in the past. It's not completely impossible. And the managers, manager and assistant manager, the Cowley brothers, they're very impressive. They talk all the right stuff, but they get it done as well on the pitch.
Have they spent much?
They brought in a few players. They brought in Michael Boswick from Peterborough,
And
a
he's been linked
very
with
good
championship teams, wasn't
very
he?
good League One player. So, he'll be at the heart of their midfield. And I think, why not have a go on them?
Okay, what price are Lincoln, Ed?
They're 11-1.
11-1. And Ed, who's your League Two fancy?
I've no massive opinion here, to be honest. But I just I'd respect all the shrewd money, and all the shrewd money has come. Well, the Mark Langdon money's come for Luton, but there's other shrewd money for Mansfield. So I reckon it probably will be between the two of them. There's a few quid as well floating around for Forest Green for top half finish today to 11, and that's coming from shrewd sources as well.
Righty-ho, we'll touch upon Scotland. How short are Celtic?
I think they're like 10s on, maybe
Shorter than that, yeah.
Is there any edge in Scotland?
Well, I was speaking to our Scottish guru, Mark Walker. He seems to think that Aberdeen are the bet in the without Celtic market again. Rangers obviously had a disastrous early season result, losing to that team from Luxembourg that I'd never heard of before. And they brought in Bruno Alves, but it feels like a kind of basket case of a club, doesn't it? And Aberdeen are just going to be solid and put up a decent show. And I think Rangers could be anything, but Aberdeen are probably the value there.
Okay,
them.
guys, you've got one tip in the whole of Europe. What's it going to be, Joe Champion?
I'll put one up at a massive price. It's Lille without PSG in France. I think it's 100-1 with Paddy Power. And, they probably won't do it, but it will probably look really good around Christmas time. They've appointed Marcelo Bielsa, who he runs his teams into the ground at some point. But, they've bought really well. They've brought a load of young Brazilian players, and I think they're probably being overlooked. Monaco have lost so many of their best players that I think you can take them on, and why not take them on with Lille?
Oh, I like the sound of that. I'm definitely going to have a fiver each way on that. Well done, Joe. Mark, your European nap?
I'll go for Napoli without Juventus. I want to be brave and say with, but I think in terms of nap, then it will be without. They're just a rock-solid team. I think that Roma have lost players.
Don't you like what Milan have done?
I do like what Milan have done, but it's not been missed by the bookmakers, that's for sure. It's not as if it's flown under the radar. They've signed 10 new players or whatever it is. Yeah, they've done well, but I don't think Napoli are far off Juventus. And if you have a look at the prices they go off on a week-by-week basis in Italy, Napoli wouldn't be that far behind Juve at all.
God, I felt like James Richardson there. All we needed was a Vespa in the background and a couple of cappuccinos, and that was it. Ed Quigley, what's your Euro clue?
Yeah, I agree entirely with Mark again. Napoli for Serie A. I'm going to go for them to win it. I think the market's taken up too much, or there's been an overreaction to Milan, even though they probably will bring in a big striker in the next week or so. But I think Napoli, their only problem was defensively last season, and maybe a bit of mentality as well. But they got a guy on loan from Roma called Rui, and they got Maksimovic as well. So offensively they obliterate teams. So 9-2 is cracking bet for me. Yeah.
Okay, and in a word, Real Madrid or Barcelona, Mark?
Real Madrid.
Joe, you're too quick for me there. Ed.
Real as well, yeah.
Okie doke. Right, let's get your best bet on any market for the 2017-2018 season.
This will not be beaten.
Mark Langdon.
Luton to be promoted.
Okay, Joe Champion.
Chelsea top London club.
Okay, Ed Quigley.
Can I go all Frank Hick? You can give a double. It'll be Middlesbrough and Blackburn for their respective leagues. Each way double it definitely plays.
Each way double. I'm going to go Middlesbrough top 6. I've seen somewhere 5-6, which is absolute lunacy. Okay, back with all the first weekend action in just a mo.
Check out Paddy's new VIPP Club. Get a £10 free bet every week when you place 5 bets of £10 or more. Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shops. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Joe Champion and Paddy Powers, Ed Quigley are looking ahead to the first weekend of the new football season. Very exciting. No Premier League, but there's loads of other stuff. A full programme of Football League and non-league stuff. Plus, also on Sunday, we've got the Community Shield. Chelsea take on Arsenal. And next Tuesday, it's the UEFA Super Cup. Real Madrid versus Manchester United. We're not going to focus too much on Chelsea, Arsenal and the Community Shield because who cares? So instead, I'm going to ask you to give me your best bet for the first weekend of the season, Mark Langdon.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't given this as much look in as what we normally would, given it's been so busy getting the pull-out done. But I do like the look of Accrington to beat Colchester in League Two. I remember Accrington got absolutely smashed up in the market to win this game last season towards the back end of the campaign. Accrington were just flying in the second half of the season. In the first half of the campaign, they were really unlucky, and I think there was a bit of a playoff hangover by the end. And we've got an interview with John Coleman in the big kickoff, and he makes the point that they beat virtually all the top teams last season, and it was only their poor start that stopped them from being involved in the promotion sort of shake-up. Lost one player to Bradford, but it hasn't been as bad as the year before when they were cherry-picked. Coleman does a brilliant job year after year. I'll take them to beat Colchester.
Do you tend to wade in with all guns blazing in the early weeks, Mark, or feel your way in?
No, I prefer to bet bigger early on. I think there's probably more value out there. Once the market corrects itself after a while, I think there is an opportunity early on.
Jolly good. So you're going to be strapping on the betting boots. What about you, Joe? You're going to go massive?
I don't know about that. I've got to.
When's payday?
Couple of weeks. Isn't
Right
it?
away, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, who's the one team that's going to get you off to a flying start?
Just mentioned them actually. I'm going to Europe again. Lille in France. It's the first week of the year.
Who have they got?
They've got Nantes.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, Bielsa will have them primed. They'll be straight out of the traps, and I expect them to win.
He gets them ready. Doesn't he?
Well, at Marseille, that first half of the campaign when he was there, they looked like they might...
They're about 10 points clear.
Yeah, they looked like they were going to do a Monaco and win the French league, and then they just had nothing left after it. And he did the same with Athletic Bilbao. It happens every time.
Excellent. And Ed Quigley, what's your weekend nap?
I'm going to go with Villa at home to Hull at their at evens. Yeah, I'm not sure about the recruitment policy to sustain a title challenge, but I think they'll have enough for this Hull side. Hull have gone through a summer of major turnover. They've lost El Mahadi, Huddleston, Jakubovic, Maguire and Robertson. They're all gone. Yeah, I know they've brought in one or two there the last week or so, but yeah, no, I think it's just too much turnover.
Okay, I think Sunderland are going to have a really, really poor season. I know it's a bit of a muggy reaction to that Darren Gibson stuff, but I that's very worrying for me if the team spirit is that bad this early in the season. So I'm going to go with Derby to win at the Stadium of Light in their first weekend. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for your help. Look forward to reading the fruits of your labour in the big kickoff, which is out in the Racing Post tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Like I said, we're back on Thursday week with the first of our weekly football podcasts. Really looking forward to that. And if you do enjoy listening, please rate us, leave a review and subscribe on iTunes.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.